Hi everyone, this is Aimee.
And Carly.
In this podcast, we talk to Morgan Murphy, who shared with us a story from his childhood.
It involves ghosts, and it's also a story about growing up and coming to terms with things.
This is a story that I will never, ever forget. A very dear friend of mine named David Dodds, go back to the 70s. Who's that musician that everybody loved? David Dodds had long, curly Jesus hair. My sister had a crush on him. My girlfriend had a crush on him. Every girl in town had a crush on David Dodds. David Dodds had a Malamute Husky, the big dog. He played guitar. He played piccolo. He played flute. He played keyboard. He played everything. Beautiful voice. He was that guy. And I'll never forget the time. And every time I see a situation like this, I always worry, because there was a night we were having a gig at a farm, and at Cowan's Ranch we were having a gig, and we had two pianos. The band had two pianos, and so we had sold one of them, and these were acoustic pianos, and we're going to take the acoustic piano to the person who bought it and then get the other one out to the farm so we could play the gig that night. We're all excited about it. We're moving stuff around. We're just sort of getting everything ready. Everybody's thrilled about the gig that night because it's really, friends. And this band, we created all kinds of amazing original music that I've never played anything like it. If you can imagine Yes meets Kansas meets Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's the kind of music we're talking about. Really progressive, almost acid rock, but very, very specific with these unbelievable changes. And I'm just thrilled. I'm younger than all these guys. I'm about maybe 12, 13, and they're in their later teens. So we load up the pianos. We get one in the back of the truck and get it to the farm. And we're bringing the other one. Oh, I'll never forget this. We are bringing the other one to the person who bought it. And we're going around the corner on Tieton and Howard Street. That's where we were. Tieton and Howard Street in Walla Walla, Washington. We're in Walla Walla, Washington, taking a left-hand turn. And for some reason, the piano began to rock in the back of the truck. And David, he'd do anything to save his piano. And he's not going to let the piano die. So he gets right in there and tries to muscle it over, and the piano fell out of the truck. He fell out of the truck. He hit his head on the curb and died there on the spot, right next to the piano. So David Dodds, and the piano died side by side. He was in his fiancée Vicky's arms. And that same night, we still played the Candlelight Jam. We went out to David Cowan's house, and we did a candlelight jam, and we did our best to try to play music in his honor. This is before the funeral this is the same evening. I remember after the funeral, I went to his house and I drove my tuning key from my drum set down into the ground by his gravestone. But it doesn't end there. I mean, that changed my life. I think the next evening, I was spending the night at his parents' house, his family's house, to help his mom, and his girlfriend Vicky was there, and just helping them sort of arrange things. And I felt guilty because I remember I was a little bit interested in Vicky, and I felt kind of guilty and weird about that. I didn't know how to process that. She's older than me, but I remember I spent the night that night in their guest room, in the Dodds house in the guest room. And I'm not a weird guy that talks about ghosts or those kind of things, but I got visited that night, and I got visited in a way that I'll never forget. And I did research after this, and some people refer to them as night crusher dreams. It's a common image of a large veiled woman who just lays herself on you while you're sleeping, and you have three ways out of this dream. One, you fight and die because you lose. Two, you fight and win and wake up. And three, you just let it happen and go for it. I knew none of this. So here I am, sleeping in his guest room. All of a sudden, immediately I wake up. I'm startled awake, and I don't know what woke me up, but I'm completely awake, and I know there's somebody standing to the right of me, standing right next to me. David is hearing me tell this story right now. I know he is. He's standing right next to me, and I don't know what's going on, and I think, well, that's kind of weird. It's dark. Why is somebody standing there? And then I go to look at him, and that's when it starts to get scary. I'm completely paralyzed. It's part of one of the things I found out in the research of a night crusher dream. I can't move anything. I can't move my head, my hands, nothing. I kind of like when you're about to pass out, you know that buzzy feeling? My whole body is buzzing and there's somebody standing next to me and now I can't move. So now I'm scared. I'm frozen. And I'm thinking to myself, I know I'm awake. I'm not asleep. I know I'm awake and I know that all I have to do is turn, and I fought like hell and I could not move even a single muscle. And I know he's still standing there right next to me. But then I thought, and remember, I didn't know any of the research. I thought to myself and I went, okay, this could be okay. I could fight it. I'm going to lose this fight, because I could tell I was going to lose. I would really fight, or I could really maybe relax and let it be okay. And I remember the moment when I decided to do that, and the buzzing stopped and everything stopped and the person was still there. And I then now knew I could move my head, but had no urge to, had no need to. They were just letting me know that everything that might happen past this point was not my fault, was okay, that I don't have to fight it. And it was that whole sort of image of not having to fight. And I remember just relaxing, letting it be okay that my dear friend was with me. And then I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning. I was so freaked out because I knew he had visited me that night. I couldn't tell her. I remember trying to tell my sister. The person I really told was my mom. I let my mom know the next day. And that's when I went. She said she'd heard about something like that. I did research and I found out about night crusher dreams. So night crusher dream is where I ended up after watching my best friend and a piano get crushed right there on the street. That was an amazing time of my life. And I don't tell that story very often, so that's a rare one. That really did happen, and I did end up dating Vicky, and I still miss David Dodds. It was all very real. Yeah, night crushers, check it out. Don't fight it. Let it be okay. Just let it be okay. I think there's a lot of things in life that if we stopped fighting them, they might be okay.
For the PSU Radio Project, this is Aimee Castonguay
and Carly Pelletier.